Hello guys and welcome to one more Blade Ride video. Today I'm previewing the new expansion of Rush M.D. It's called ICU. It's created by Artipia Games and it's on Kickstarter at the moment. The base game Rush M.D. is a real-time cooperative game about running a hospital, and it's a sequel to the game Kitchen Rush. In Rush M.D, you are one of the doctors and you have to cooperate with your colleagues, you have to admit new patients and treat them and perform various operations. Before I talk about what the new expansion is, let's see briefly the gameplay of the base game. Rush M.D is a highly thematic experience. It recreates the challenges and the pressure of working in a hospital in a fun way, and it's a game for gamers and for families alike. It supports 1 to 4 players and there's 4 rounds, and each round lasts for 4 minutes, which means that you have 16 minutes in total to save human lives and complete your objective, which is different in every game, needing you to gather reputation points by giving the right treatment to patients and not depleting your medical points by avoiding patients dying on you. It's basically a worker placement game where you use your doctor, which is this hourglass, or the nurses, which are again hourglasses, to perform the various actions. Nurses provide medicines to patients, supply all necessary drugs and equipment that you need to carry out all your exams and medical procedures. Any worker placed on an action space may not be used elsewhere before the sand within the hourglass runs out, which makes each decision important because the time is limited. Once the timer for the round starts, the nurses start admitting patients and in some cases providing treatment right away. In some other cases, they need to be admitted in the wards and be sent to the labs for exams and diagnostics imaging, which need these mini-games to be performed. For the cultures diagnostics, you need to flip over these tokens one by one until you find the matching image. For the blood exam, you need to take the tweezers and recreate the same pattern of colors. For the X-ray, you need to find a diagnosis card that does not show the bed identity of the patient on it. And in the MRI scan, you need absolute stillness, so you place this token and balance your hourglass on it until the sand runs out. After they are picked up, the diagnoses also indicate what medication needs to be provided next and the added points you get when the patient is treated. Of course, there are some patients with contagious diseases that need special treatment for the entire ward they're in, according to the epidemic card drawn. Then we got some patients who need operations, in which case they go to the operating rooms and the doctor, only using tweezers, needs to bring the organ transplants and a nurse the rest of the medications. I figured out a trick for the heart because it's pretty slippery. Nope. There you go. And of course, it's essential that you make sure that during this madness, you constantly have nurses refilling the blood bank and all the medical supplies needed for all the different treatments. Once the 4 minutes of the round are finished, you check whether you provided the right treatment, and any patient not treated will now be in serious condition, which costs you points. Serious conditions become critical, and untreated critical ones die, which costs you a lot more points. And just when you thought that the pressure cannot get any higher, here comes the ICU expansion, and it adds lots of stuff, especially in terms of replayability and variability. The general difficulty is higher, there is more communication and close collaboration needed, there is new minigames, and there is much more material in the Kickstarter campaign that make the game even more modular. So let's have a look at the new components. We have a whole new exams game board with 4 new minigames. There is the urinalysis exam, for which you need to look at the 2 letters shown on the back of the top card of the urinalysis diagnosis deck. And then you flip the tiles one at a time and try to locate one that has both of these letters highlighted. Then we have the allergy test, and for that, using a pair of tweezers, you must place those wooden discs on the tile on the corresponding allergy type, pets, food and pollen, the way it's shown on the card. The 3rd new exam is the ultrasound. Each ultrasound card's back features 2 ward positions which are hidden to the naked eye, and your task is to locate an ultrasound diagnosis card that shows the bed identity of the patient being examined. To do so, you use the red plastic ultrasound detection token and keep looking until you find a card with the right ID. Last, there is the CT scan. After placing the patient's bed inside the CT scanner and hold the top part of it, you place the doctor hourglass on. Without touching the hourglass, you need to keep it balanced on top of the CT scanner until the sand runs out. If you drop it, you need to repeat the entire process again. As you can see, the colors of the exams needed are the same in the new exam board and the old one, so you can choose which one you're going to perform when the color comes up. But if a patient requires 2 exams, they must be performed on different game boards. And then the main addition of this expansion is the intensive care unit, the ICU, which is a whole new board. There are new patients as well indicated as ICU patients, and they must be stabilized before they can be moved to a ward to begin exams and their treatment. So to stabilize a patient, you must perform all the procedures indicated on the patient's card symptoms, and they are the following. There's defibrillation, which is what you see in the medical movies where they're holding 2 things, which I don't know what they are, and they do something like an electroshock and they shout clear. So to do this in the game, you take 2 defibrillation wooden tokens and balance one of them on each of the 2 top corners of the patient's bed. Then shout clear, making sure all other players hold their hands up in the air while you roll the defibrillation die until it lands on a side with the pulse symbol. Then there is the electrocardiogram or ECG, for which you need to recreate the pulse sequence shown on the card with these 4 tiles. This one is the pump-induced drugs, PID. You take a cardboard 4 infusion pole and place it next to the patient's bed, hook the right drugs and make sure that the bottom part of each PID tile is inside the patient's bed, and they need to accompany the patient throughout the hospital until they are discharged, otherwise you lose a medical point. After all the required procedures have been successfully completed, the patient is considered stabilized, and you place a stabilized token in the patient's bed and they may exit the ICU. And that was the ICU expansion in a nutshell. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have played the base game, what you think of the new expansion, and I will have in the description the link for the Kickstarter campaign page for those who want to check it out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.